there's actually no substitute for competence. People run from it and spend their entire lives running because it's so hard to stand on one's own record. After all, your ego will always be your strictest judge and there will never be a substitute for competence. This is something Ayn Rand said in her book, The Fountainhead, and not many stories highlight the importance of this simple fact of life as brilliantly as Blue Lock, and especially Blue Lock's protagonist, Isagi Yoichi. He is a monster. It's hard to believe that he is such a menace despite having loving parents and a healthy childhood. I mean, when you look at Rin or Kaiser or characters like Lorenzo, Naruhaya, even Yukimiya, you'll see that they come from tragic beginnings. But Isagi is different. He is a normal person with a healthy background, but that is also the source of his strength. By making Isagi the main character of Blue Lock, the author has given us a case study of how a balanced ego and the ability to adapt can help you excel in pretty much any kind of situation. There is really nothing that can hold Isagi back. While other characters subconsciously sabotage themselves because of mental self-harm, toxic familial bonds, or incomplete ideologies, Isagi Yoichi doesn't even think twice before destroying himself and being reborn anew. Unlike Kaiser, Isagi truly believes that he can surpass even the World 5. Now, for the first half of this video, we're going to focus on Isagi's attributes, his personality, and how the Blue Lock project has awakened him. And as for the second half of the video, it'll be about how you can also be like Isagi. Just stick with me till the end, guys. It's going to be surprisingly simple. Starting from Isagi, we all remember that at the start of Blue Lock, he was nothing special. He was physically weak, he doubted himself, and he didn't even know if he had a weapon. He was just a normal, ordinary striker. Nothing spectacular about him whatsoever, just an ordinary person. But more importantly, his ego was asleep. Because of the lukewarm, all-for-one, one-for-all philosophy of his coach, Isagi Yoichi had lost his edge. For the 2 years he played high school football, he was never an egoist. Ironically, this is also what made Blue Lock the perfect metamorphosis for him. You'd think that he was at a major disadvantage because of the nonsense he was fed by his high school coach. That is actually not true. Throughout it all, Isagi has never stopped being receptive to new information. When Ego Jinpachi announced the project to the 300 players at the start of the story, Isagi was the first one who instinctively understood Ego's philosophy, and he demonstrated it by being the first one to dash straight inside Blue Lock. Contrast that with Kira. Now, Kira was supposedly Japan's national treasure, but he was also in denial of the true nature of football. That's why, when it actually counted, Isagi didn't think twice before yeeting that boy's sorry ass straight out of Blue Lock. Why do you think that is? It's because even though he was indoctrinated by his high school coach for 2 years, he was never corrupted by that philosophy. Yes, he lost time by playing with his high school team, but he is also the kind of person who can destroy and recreate himself as naturally as he breathes. This is the true essence of Isagi's ego. When he figures out what needs to be done, he would simply do it, just like that. Now, Blue Lock is an excellent environment for everyone but for Isagi Yoichi. It's basically his metamorphosis. He is someone who evolves and recreates himself by absorbing new information and new experiences without reservation. That's how he has been able to surpass Baro, Rin, Bachia, and basically everyone else in Blue Lock. They were prodigies even before entering Blue Lock. They also already knew about their weapons as well as the fact that they were strong. But as far as Isagi Yoichi is concerned, he was a blank state who relentlessly heeded to Bear Grylls' words: improvise, adapt, overcome. Of course, this doesn't mean we're downplaying other characters. They are badasses in their own right, but let's not forget that there is a reason why they are all so obsessed with Isagi. Short answer is that Isagi is him. As for the long answer, it's because Isagi is the one who forced them and still forces them to recreate themselves. Right now, the latest chapter is 261. Isagi has just told Kaiser to kneel to him. It's just Isagi's nature. Even when it's not intentional, he has the power to make other people grow. He literally just tells people that they are worthless trash and ends up making himself an obstacle for them. Ironically, this ends up helping them find the X factor they need to evolve. There is actually a quote attributed to Stephen Hawking that says that intelligence is the ability to adapt to change. And in the context of Blue Lock, there is no other character that exemplifies this better than Isagi Yoichi. His entire mindset is that if it's for the sake of winning, he doesn't mind destroying his old self. He absorbs new information like a sponge, evolves without prejudice, and puts other people in their places. He appears friendly and easygoing at first, but beneath that charming persona is the air of a beast. Well, something can be said about this duality too. It's compelling in the sense that the easygoing persona makes Isagi seem normal. So, in a way, he also represents that even seemingly normal people can go on to become legends as long as they can stop whining and get grinding. Again, this isn't in any way meant to discredit the character growth of other characters at all. Blue Lock is never a one-man show. But as far as we're talking about a blueprint on how to succeed, Isagi's character arc is the best case study we have. Alright, let's now talk about how you can use Isagi as an inspiration to grow and win in our own lives. It's normal to be stuck in a situation. Isagi also felt stuck when he lost his shot at going to nationals just because the guy he passed to was a complete clown. But it doesn't have to be related to football. Maybe you're stuck in unhealthy habits or coping mechanisms. Maybe you're a student looking to excel but feel overwhelmed by the competition. Maybe you experienced a rejection or were betrayed by someone you trusted. There's plenty of situations where a person may feel stuck. And keep in mind that it is normal to be stuck. But the thing about most people is that they don't truly internalize their situation. They have been stuck for so long that they have stopped believing in their dreams. They are basically running away from their ego. Remember, your ego is your strictest judge. Even if you spend your entire life running away, it'll still always be there, quietly and silently judging you from the shadows, always making you feel incomplete. When people feel stuck, they also feel sad because sadness is actually a feeling of helplessness. This all in turn leads to despair. However, as Ego Jinpachi himself stated, if you properly feel that despair and manage to fight harder even in its face, then you hold the power to make your dream a reality. Ultimately, it's all about the way you look at the situation. Will you let yesterday's defeat hold you back today? Will you run away and ignore your strictest judge? Or will you be like Isagi and tear yourself a new one? And in that case, how can you be like Isagi? As I said before, it's actually surprisingly simple. You have to face your ego and embrace the idea of change. Identify the problem as well as what needs to be improved. Adapt and overcome. Continue to reflect on your improvement. Stay focused. Failure simply means that you need to pause and reflect. And of course, don't ever forget that despair can be turned into determination. However, make sure to stay wary of toxic mental self-harm and unhealthy coping mechanisms. Don't let your brain become your enemy. Ego is not about being edgy. It's about realizing your true potential. It's about being competent at what you seek to do. Another surreal thing about Blue Lock is how it always shows you that no matter the situation, there is always a formula to achieve your goal. You just need to come up with a formula in any particular situation and you can win. Make plans and be extra vigilant. You cannot not know something about your own plans. As Noel Noah said, you have to visualize an ideal situation that you can explain and verbalize completely. After all, not knowing means that there is wishful thinking in your thought process, which is merely noise. It's a distraction and it can easily destroy your plan. See? Adaptability, competence, and one's ego. They all go hand in hand. If you can come up with a plan and you have the courage to turn your despair into determination, then it's not impossible to achieve your dreams. Even if you are stopped by an unexpected obstacle, your ego won't judge you as harshly as it would if you had never tried at all. Blue Lock is an extreme example because everyone is literally trying to be the very best in the world, but nobody actually needs that kind of goal to prove their competence to themselves. Do they? All one needs is to not run away and to continue to improve. But never do that for someone else's ego. You'll only further imprison yourself if you stay held back by other people's expectations. What's so badass about Isagi is that since the beginning, he has always managed to stay indifferent to everyone's harassments. He won't let you hold him back. He will surpass you, and then he will glare at you from a higher mountain. This is Isagi Yoichi. Now, to sum it all up, ego is something that already exists within you. It is what judges you when you are running away from your potential. You can either ignore it and let it lie dormant, or you can use it to sharpen your fangs. to understand and utilize both your hunger and selfishness. Don't even worry about the people, because only losers ever get upset when winners talk. If you don't take control, someone else is going to take control. But someone else can never understand what you want. During the second round, when the thought of surrendering the ball to Isagi entered Baro's mind, he legit had an existential crisis. He genuinely thought that if he passed now, he would end up as a complete failure. A bum who can only watch from his apartment as Isagi plays on the world stage. Naturally, that's an extreme scenario, but it serves as an interesting metaphor too. If you surrender control of your life to someone else, even if temporarily, what will become of you? How will your ego judge you? Exactly. People seek approval from strangers on social media, and people buy stuff to impress those they already hate. But that approval is no substitute for actual competence, and your ego won't accept anything less than actual competence. You can always worry about others after you worry about yourself, but never forget that no matter how much you try to understand other people's hearts, people aren't able to change others. That's why every time, you have to change yourself. At least, that's what Isagi Yoichi says. And with that said, guys, these were all of my thoughts on how Isagi and Blue Lock teach you to win. What do you think? Do you agree with Isagi and Blue Lock? Do you agree with the correlation between ego and competence? I know you must have a lot to add to this, so come on guys, let us continue this conversation in the comments section down below.